No, I didn't.
Did you hear about how they got the
I can't comment on anything like that.
Now we're going to look at biometrics, the cashless society control grid. You'll be satellite tracked and taxed to drive an automobile. They're talking about 65 cents a mile during peak times. The federal government is preparing and pushing the states to implement this system. We're talking about RFID tracker chips in the money and almost all products you buy at the store that will track and trace what you do. The Cold War era echelon system is being beefed up to listen to every phone call, read every fax and email, track all purchases made by Americans. And meanwhile, the border stays wide open. This is about total taxation, total control, total surveillance. So I want you to understand this. You're going to be taxed and traced and followed. They want to make it the law, satellite tracking systems in all your cars. The hardware and software is already in all the new cars, just to have the interface plugged in. We're only a few years away from this. Your television sets, if they have digital cable hooked into them, are watching in detail what you watch. They've got face scanning cameras on the streets. They're going in the grocery stores, following and tracking what you're doing, building detailed psychological algorithms on you. They're face scanning you and thumb scanning you to get driver's license now. Almost all the 50 states have implemented this. There's just a few that haven't. That's where they get the face scan and the thumb scan to match against you at the grocery store or at the mall. But all of this is happening while our borders are wide open. And on top of that, we have the Pentagon saying we're going to watch all Americans. Now, that's the hallmark of Mexico or Russia or Guatemala or Communist China. You have the army, the military, watching the people. And for those of you that are watching this program many years from now, I want you to understand that you're going to have more terrorism come out of all this, because the very military-industrial complex that is now enslaving and taking control of the people are the ones that stand to gain for more terrorism. And the evidence clearly shows they are instituting and carrying out the terrorism. That is small compartmental units of this behemoth federal government that is becoming an imperial world government. Most people in government are good throughout the pyramid, but that key cabal at the top controls and sets the policy for the entire beehive-type society. So understand, maximum surveillance, maximum Big Brother tracking and tracing that dwarfs the nightmare vision of George Orwell in 1984. It's more akin to a THX 1138 Matrix-like system. The chains are being forged. We're being put into this brave new world. And people need to face the scope of this electronic straitjacket that's being projected against you and your family.
My friends, they've now announced, way back in 2002, that the Scientific Atlantic cable boxes, the digital cable boxes, watch what you watch. They don't just watch you physically. No, they pierce your mind. They build psychological algorithms. Every part of the show is Q-scored, the psychological rating. The ads are even scored. And it all goes back, and computers go through that data, just like cookies when you surf the internet, but with more detail. It's worse than 1984. It doesn't just see what you're physically doing, it builds detailed psychological profiles of you. There's satellite tracker systems already in all the new cars, ready for the hubs to be plugged in. The federal government is announcing that they want to do this. They're preparing the states. We're only a few years away from it. They're standardizing it and promoting it as a safety feature. It'll track, trace, turn your car off, tax the living daylights out of you. Face scanning cameras in the grocery stores, just total control. Every email, every fax, everything you do tracked and traced. And the symbol is New World Order with an all-seeing burning red eye radiating the earth. Big Brother will be watching America. Giant information matrix to track movements. Federal regulators ease restrictions on technology that can see through walls. This is all their system. They say they're going to have hover drones watching us at all times, and they've been given the technology to police for 5 years. It's a crisp black and white image of everything you do in your home. It'll look through 4 feet of concrete, and that's just what they're giving police now. FBI spy planes patrol U.S. and use systems that look through your walls. And it continues, you are a suspect. William Sapphire in the New York Times says, every purchase you make with a credit card, every magazine subscription you buy, medical prescription you fill, every website you visit, email you send or receive, every academic grade you receive, every bank deposit you make, every trip you book, every event you attend, all these transactions and communications will go into what the Defense Department describes as a virtual centralized grand database. And then it says that it'll also add all private stuff to that. And you know why they're throwing this in your face? As a chilling effect so you don't stand up against them. Let me give you a little secret. They can listen to everything we do. They don't have personnel. If they had 10 million people, they couldn't read all the billions of faxes and emails and letters, even with keyword software. So they don't have personnel to actually implement this unless you accept all this evil, accept torture, accept this mind warp, and go along with it. They need you to play along. You can stop this. But if you do play along, go ahead and serve them. They're going to absolutely ruin your life and your children's life. They seem to go after folks that serve them even more. It's like God allows it to happen or something. I've just observed it for years. Airline security experts want to know whether what you have in your heart. Forget about what's in your suitcase. What the government really wants to know is whether you have evil in your mind. And by the way, they now, in Boston Logan Airport, have put a NASA brain scanner in, and 4 other airports have put it in. It's total quackery. They've proven the old-fashioned lie detector's a fraud. They've already proven that. Now they go, oh, the brain scanner says you're a terrorist. It shows you're with them. It actually says this. The computer says you're guilty. I mean, think about this. Road cameras raise arrest. Push to take number plate scanners nationwide. From England to the U.S., they're scanning your license plates as you drive. Hot car. See, it was just for traffic reports. Now it's, oh, we're going to use it for law enforcement. Yeah. See how that works? They won't put cameras on the border, and the border is being dissolved. Always remember that key point. They're getting rid of the national sovereignty. Now it's just road cameras. They focus on terrorism. See, they've got to watch us, and they've got the tips program where your cable guy and your phone man tattle on you, and your neighbors do. And now 4 New Jersey school districts test the kids when they come into school for drug residue. And bars in New York and in London are testing your hands to see if you've taken drugs before you go into the bar. I mean, it's nuts. It's just crazy. They go, oh, it's voluntary. Also, in-car boxes, safety measure or spy tactic. And now admit, oh, these little boxes are already in all your cars. By the way, Homeland Security's hooked into these private billboards all over that tune into what you're listening to. Did you know that your radios in your car, AM and FM, actually transmit at a low level? And now Homeland Security tunes into what you're listening to. High-tech billboards tune into drivers' taste. And it says the billboard is listening. San Francisco Chronicle, ABC News. Here's another one, Business Week. Will your TV become a spy? Hollywood wants every new digital set to include a monitoring device that tracks back and reports to them.
It seems it's an everyday occurrence to have the National Guard out for, quote, safety checkpoints being conducted with local police. Also in the April 10th, 2000 edition of Around Iowa. It seems they're having to propagandize the local public via the papers and condition them that it's okay to have the military out in police uniforms and dressed as civilians. Oh, that's not a telltale sign of the secret police. But don't worry, it says questions have been raised about the use of plainclothes Iowa National Guard troops. But Major Michael Cohen, a lawyer for the National Guard, he says there's no problem. While he says Congress says that it's A-OK. Well, I guess they've scrapped posse comitatus and we're going the way of Mexico or Russia. How can any serious American watch this? Anyone that has an even basic grasp of human history.
Sold out for weeks due to the difficult and extensive proprietary process behind its creation. The exclusive INFOWARS Life Secret 12 formulation is now back in stock in the last limited shipment of 2014. The most bioactive form that has been created with our proprietary process. This ultra-clean vitamin B12 nutraceutical has been carefully crafted and developed over the last 2 years and is based on cellular science of how your body actively absorbs essential nutrients. Secret 12 is taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections.
science, vitamin B12 deficiency is linked to scores of serious problems. And Secret 12 is a fusion of 2 organic, proprietary forms of vitamin B12, bringing you a true nutraceutical quality vitamin B12. Secret 12. Secret 12 is an excellent Christmas gift and is tailor-made to boost your New Year's resolutions. Supplies of Secret 12 are very limited. Secure yours today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
The Molon Lave Silver Coin, certified by the Provident Mint. This 1-ounce silver round is 0.999% fine silver, inspired by the legendary Spartan king Leonidas and his refusal to lay down arms in defiance of Emperor Xerxes. Molon Lave, that's Greek for come and take it. This is available now at InfoWarsStore.com. Act now as supplies are limited. And don't forget, free shipping and a free gift. That's InfoWarsStore.com.
My guest today is Mark Passio. He is an independent researcher, radio talk show host, a public speaker, and also a freedom activist from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And he has assembled a vast amount of knowledge on occultism, spirituality, metaphysics, symbology, and consciousness. You can find all of that information on his website, whatonearthishappening.com, as well as freeyourmindconference.com. And he joins me today to talk about occultism and mind control. So Mark, thank you for joining us today. I know we've got a lot to talk about in a short amount of time. So I wanted to kind of give a tri-part question here first, just kind of give a little bit of a backstory. I've heard you say in a few of your lectures that you were actually a practitioner of the dark occult. Obviously, this is where some of your expertise comes from. You can confirm that these occultic symbols are being employed. They do have power. But what does that mean? What does that mean as far as you are practicing? Was that like Satanism, Luciferianism, some sort of other dark occult that I don't really know about? And then, of course, what compelled you to kind of seek out that knowledge, and what was it that helped you kind of realize that maybe that wasn't where you wanted to spend your energies?
Sure, that's a really great question. Well, in my youth, I kind of accepted, without much questioning, a lot of the religious dogma and indoctrination that I had been given by family members and school teachers. And I come from a pretty standard Roman Catholic Italian background in South Philadelphia. And my family was kind of the type that never really challenged belief systems, certainly never questioned authority, anything like that. And, you know, back then when I was given a lot of those dogmatic beliefs and kind of accepted them, I certainly lacked a lot of the knowledge about what religious indoctrination is about and why it's done. I certainly didn't know anything about astrotheology at that time. And a lot of that knowledge probably could have put some of that indoctrination into perspective. But since I lacked it, my disillusionment with modern organized religion turned into extreme anger. And I acted upon that anger by attempting to seek out the antithesis of religion, the antithesis of the system into which I was born, and I found it in the form of the dark occult, dark occultism, particularly Satanism, which was the type of dark occultism that I gravitated toward. And I espoused a lot of satanic beliefs and ideologies, particularly through writing and music. Some of my work was eventually recognized by Anton LaVey, who was the high priest of the organization known as the Church of Satan at that time. He has since died. But he asked me to take part in the Church of Satan and become a priest within its membership. And I accepted that offer, and I became a priest in the Church of Satan. And what my job was to do was basically, for the most part, explain the ideology of Satanism to people in an attempt to take more people into the ranks of that ideology. As my involvement with Satanism in general, not just the Church of Satan organization, grew, I became aware that this wasn't an isolated group of individuals that were just working with occulted or hidden knowledge in order to essentially grow their own personal power, but they were groups, internetworked groups of people who were working together, and they came from an eclectic array of people from every walk of life, every social institution that you could imagine. There were Satanists placed in positions of high power and influence within those institutions, including politics, banking, law, military, law enforcement, entertainment, technology, medicine, education, and every other area of our lives. And they were not isolated individuals that were just trying to increase their own personal power and influence. They were working together as a tight-knit unit toward a common goal, and that